as usual. Yeah, are we here? Good. I think there's it feels like a gate on this thing. The switch goes. I guess it's a mute switch. Okay, keeps it on but mutes. All right, let's do this thing. Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. Happy Saturday. I'm just waking up from a long. I wasn't up till 9 this morning or something. And now I'm like crawling out of bed into my desk once again. And working on hello Mac OS. People, you should try Mac OS, and not begrudge it for all its differences from whatever you're used to. It's pretty cool. I like it. I use it. I've been using it for a while. It hasn't always been great or perfect or, I would never call it that along the way, but it's gotten better. The main thing for someone like me is that it's a Unix. I know this. So being a Unix, let's switch this to a smaller theme that's more readable. I don't know. The done is down here. Check out all the dones in my pile. I know you can't see this. Look at it. Look at it. Okay, we'll do it this way. Do it live. So yeah, Hermes added a Kanban board, which people are really digging. I guess Hermes added a Kanban board, and I've been using it to ingest, as you can see, my my old app, my old music app is being ingested, and I'm hitting those free tokens. I've got some free tokens on GitHub Copilot. I don't know if they want you to always use them with Copilot. I use the API tokens a little bit with Hermes, but it is with my code. It is with my project. This is a GitHub project, although it's not a project that people generally. There you go. Nudge the dispatcher. I nudged the dispatcher. You couldn't tell, but that's what I did. I nudged the dispatcher, and it moved it to in progress. So I'm giving this to the new research model, which today is what I can't remember what it's called. Which today is called Trinity Large Thinking is the one. And it's been pretty good. Trinity Large Thinking is all right. I want to turn thinking down low for this particular process, but check it out. Scarf. Another front end for Hermes. Hermes. I'm never going to get used to saying it like that. Sorry, internet people with blue lights behind you, but I don't know what you're doing, why you're saying it like that. So here we have, boom, shows you your recent session, and you can see it shows you how many tokens. And I think this is mostly tokens on input. I noticed when I start these things, they just crank up really fast. And then while it's still 0 messages, and then suddenly messages start popping out. You'll notice that right now it's just doing, all it's doing is not really a translation. I guess you could call it a translation task. It previously grabbed API stuff out of, let's go back to Hermes dashboard. It previously grabbed, down here you can see, whoop, this is how we're doing code now, people. It's a management problem now, I guess. So we're all managers and we're code managing. So what I'm trying to do is sort of get into the flow, and I know I'm doing things a little bit rough and wrong and badly and stuff. You want clean content to be ingested. So I'm using sometimes free models, sometimes local models to do some of this stuff just to see how they perform. Because it's not mission critical at this point. I can run another model afterwards. I've done all this crappy ingestion. I can have another model go over, like say Claude, and do one session. It's a little bit quicker and just have it clean it up and do corrections on it rather than the whole damn thing. So I'm taking the advantage of a lot of free tokens that are out there, or cheap tokens that are out there. Take advantage of the free inference and cheap inference that's out there for sure, and give it a test. They want you to test these models and get them exercised, get them rated, see how well they do. I'm finding, generally speaking, a lot of these free models are great. If you have local models you like, you can run them on something like OpenRouter and have them be a little faster, or if you like T3, something like that. I may get that pretty soon. Uh, I'm a begrudging fan of Teo. He's funny. He keeps me entertained and informed, and his hilarious feuds with like Anthropic, which hilarious or not, they're real. They're real issues, that we have because these guys are really. It's a gold rush. It's going to be crazy. They're acting all crazy, trying to make rein in our use. And as soon as these things like Pi and Hermes showed up, the immediate result was massive slamming on these servers in a lot of cases. Like I am taking advantage of the free tokens that are on offer, so it's not entirely my fault. I am trying my best to not slam them. Honestly, I'm really like, and this Kanban board pauses between tasks, and you have to nudge it to get to the next one. I like that. I don't have a dispatcher that's running a cron job to do this, but if I did, I would have it run like every 20 minutes or something, so I'm not slamming free tokens all day long. And I just, and if I want to get free stuff, I actually have free stuff from GitHub, which again, I want to use it mostly on Marlin code because that's the project. And I want to also use them mostly on GitHub Copilot. On GitHub itself, although honestly, it hasn't been great at things like pull requests and, uh, well, it occasionally finds something, but it isn't always the thing. And then I have had to, like, more often than not close them and just say no, that's not it. So they're still not quite there. Maybe it's better today, this hour. I don't know. I know they want more of us to, like, work with Copilot itself to train it. So I did get, check it out. Boop, there's a menu. It's the GitHub Copilot for Xcode. If you get that, you get this menu that shows you your request. You can see I haven't used much of my premium quota, so I mean I should be abusing it, or using it at least. Not abusing it, of course, but what's this? Fetch error. Okay, you're having issues, whatever. View details. So you can, like, see what's going on with this. Uh, enable extensions. So I sort of like turned off completions and stuff because I thought it would like be better not to. It's not like it's running everywhere. I can enable next edit suggestion. See if that makes this thing go away. Enable extension for full featured completion. What does that mean? I think it's a system settings thing. Go there. Did that already, see? I don't know why. Actually, it's the second time that it's kind of give me an indication that it doesn't know what's going on. So anyway, but its general use is like cool menu, so get it for that reason alone. Otherwise, you have to go to something like, I've been going and opening VS Code and using the little button at the bottom of the window. The one in Z isn't quite there, even though there is a little, if you use Z, here it is. Xcode quit unexpectedly. I guess the MPC stuff's a little unbalanced right now. But that's another thing I was going to tell you about is I hooked up Xcode. It's got MCP, so what does that mean? Okay, here's a difference. If you haven't played with these yet, MCP is when an app has basically a bunch of commands you can give it from an agent or an LLM system or whatever, an agent system, you could say, from some kind of tool. It provides all these MCP commands and it documents those, and then your agent can then see those if it connects to I want to say socket, something along those lines. Sees those, it sees that those commands are available in that app, and when you say, "Hey, run build in Xcode," it can do that from just your Hermes running in your terminal or whatever. It just sees that Xcode is there, sees the MCP commands, and has. I think I gave it a little bit of a skill to remind it that it had this. I gave it an Xcode MCP skill, so that when I mention it, it has an immediate access to the skill, to the commands without having to ask the MCP. But has the option, it can ask the MCP server for the command, get those, or just read the file, the markdown file with the other instructions in it. And then I can kind of build on that. So I kind of like having the skill. I think for any MCP server, it doesn't hurt to have a skill that also goes along with it, even if it says, there are commands, go fetch them. And it probably is a good idea occasionally to say, go fetch them, because they may change over time. They may change or add new ones and stuff. And if you don't keep that fresh, that's the thing is you're building up knowledge. If you're building up knowledge about things like this, you got to keep it fresh. So another thing you got to remember in your Hermes. Yeah, so with the project I chose to mess with, which I'll bring over. Here's your Xcode. The project I chose to mess with is my old Fret Pet project, which is like a music sequencer I wrote like in the mid to late '90s. When I was living in Boston and I was like trying to learn music theory, and I figured this was a good way to do it was write an app, to do that. And it grew from being a thing for looking up chords on the guitar neck and showing their patterns and where to put your fingers to a thing that turned into a music sequencer and like documents and a document format. And it grew out of all crazy. These things do that, and it had like Sparkle for updating. And if you've used Mac OS or anything for a long time, you know that Sparkle is a thing for when it says, hey, there's an update available, install now, and that window pops up and you hit install. That's basically Sparkle. I think they have their own system for that now that's a little more integrated. So that's going to be gone. So this code base I have here is really just the like I can show you an image that keeps things interesting. Let's see, here's an image background. Ooh, of a guitar. Oh, that's not very good. Big acoustic here. How about that one? How about round? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So this is a typical guitar that I drew. And then, put the dots on top of that. So nowadays you might render it in all kinds of ways. So I might do it with vectors or whatever type of drawing system there is now for rendering vectors in the UI in macOS so that things can be scalable, infinitely scalable, whatever. But the idea is that, rebuild it afresh, anew. So you give it a code base, you say, research this code base, bring it into what I have as an LLM wiki. So I'm mixing and matching, I'm mixing a lot of stuff together. I have the old documentation, I have Marlin stuff in there. I'm kind of like, I just asked Hermes, are you going to get confused if I have mixed knowledge? And it's like, nah. I'm like, okay, we'll see. I can always work it out if it does. I can split up the knowledge, give it three brains, and change its profiles. And there are other tricks you can do, call the knowledge, and so on. It needs to be refined, though, and I think having it all in one place and having a definitive knowledge that you're working on, like if I clone its brain to one of my other machines, which another thing I'll tell you about. But yeah, if I clone its brain to other machines, then those go stale, and then you have to like re-establish like parity. And how do you keep that all together? That becomes a problem of knowledge synchronization. That's like you're suddenly introducing like new issues that you have to deal with when you invoke these systems. But supposedly you can ask Hermes to help you work it out, and it will figure out a way to work it out for you. Maybe a round robin system. You don't know like what it'll come up with, but there are ways. It can use something like a what you would call a provenance system, or basically usually they mark it source of truth, but you could come up with something. Anyway, what I'm doing with this is really just kind of exercising this concept of working on a code base through knowledge and then redesigning it and then building it from the ground up. And the reason you might wonder I'm doing that is for the purposes of the next phase of Marlin firmware, where it's possible to build it from the ground up using by analyzing its APIs that currently exist, rip it apart, develop a sort of get the whole thing worked out in the API level at the high level, where the text isn't like huge amounts of code. It's just here's the signatures of the functions, and this is how they're going to interact. And we know that this one will call that one. They will interdepend in this way. And we have a vision of how things will connect, but we can talk about it at a high level, which is where the LLM can work with predictive text. Like if you talk about an idea, it can riff on that idea, it can develop a plan, it can write that kind of stuff up, and then you use that plan as developing your intent, and that intent then becomes the engine that drives how it runs its tools, and then those tools become like what you depend on. This is where I'll really the rubber meets the road when you're starting to write the code. That's when you want to use a good model, at least I would say Sonnet 4.6 is really very popular right now, and I don't blame it because it's very, it's snappy, it's pretty smart, it doesn't cost a whole lot. I guess if you find one that costs the same or about the same, um, that's better. Go for that. But there's all kinds of good models that are actually there are all little specialized models that are kind of floating around that are obscure that you just don't hear about. They might be worth trying out. Uh, I don't, definitely give them a shot, but watch them carefully. Some models just don't do well with tool calling, and you just kind of have to mark them as in red somehow, somewhere. It's like I keep going back to the same models and be like, oh right, that one doesn't do like tool calling, so I have to. I don't know how to remember that everywhere. It's like on my agent to like cough it up when I try to use it, maybe. But anyway, the general idea being uh, build this code base and learn from it, not only uh, not only the code base itself, but through the process of the refactoring of this code base. I'll build up a skill for refactoring in general, and for developing a spec in this way in general, like in a bring an old project back to life in a new way kind of. You could imagine taking the same thing, running it through another project where you're taking an old COBOL thing and trying to bring it up to date, or take your pick, but where it would then follow a lot of those same processes, and then you could refine them. And again, you're just building up knowledge and processes that you can reuse. The end goal is not necessarily to get the LLM to write the code. That's the fun part. Is like, yes, you will get it to write code, but you're going to be basically micromanaging a lot of that, and that's kind of the end. It's not necessarily that you want to micromanage all the code, but the details at the end matter. It's like you're going to be taking these things and decomposing them. One good way to do that is really just to like anything that you're going to put into a function, make it a function, and it'll get inline. And just you define it in some way outside of the function with an interface, with a comment explaining what it does. This little chunk of code is this thing, and then the AI can kind of use its attention, the LLM, to absorb what it means without necessarily having to know what every brace means per se. It gets tricky with attention. You can imagine something you could call nested attention. Maybe they'll work that out someday where you have all the details about this function are in this nested attention blob that, and then you have a overall attention about that blob, and you can work about that, and you can talk about that blob in a knowledgeable way without knowing all of the details of that blob. You don't have to know where every brace is to know what it does, in general how it works. So you can kind of like work with that, and that's the advantage really again of this whole technology, is the generalization, the fluid and non-specific nature of language allows us to make reference to things that it can then pick out meaning and infer intent, infer meaning, pull it out, and produce something which is consistent with that, and hopefully not not weirdly consistent with our literal meaning, like the monkey paw. I occasionally run into that where I'm like, no, I didn't mean that, I meant this. Like the way I had phrased it was like, it sounded like I meant you should do it, but what I meant was to say was like, this is how we would do it. So again, you have to be very careful how you phrase things, especially with agent systems, because they'll always want to act on it. So it gets a little weird. You have to just basically say, don't act, let's just discuss it, or put them into a mode if you can do that, if your system has a mode. Anyway, I was going to mention how Xcode worked. I brought Xcode into the picture here. Here it is. Boop. And yeah, it has its own. Here you go. Here's the built-in thing where it has agents, and you say, I'll talk to Claude, which I don't have in there yet. Codex, which is basically everyone has that, I guess. But OpenAI. And then you have, if you're connected to LM Studio, you just put in a few models that you like. I'm going to actually change this a little bit because I think I like the UD models, which are Unsloth, better. Although I'm settling on it, I think I'm going to turn on the KV cache and stuff and try maybe the 6-bit quant, because was hitting my, I don't know, details. I was hitting my swap and on a 64 gigabyte ultra, hitting swap, while other things are running, of course. I'm trying to quit as many things as I can to make room, still hitting swap. I think KV cache will work well, compression, with just, slightly larger, instead of a 4-bit model, go with a 6-bit model with the compression. Maybe the quality loss will be evened out, instead of 4-bit quality loss, you'll have higher quality, but then it brings it back down to 4-bit quality loss. I think at that point, it's like, why not just use the 4-bit? Either one is going to eat memory. You kind of find a model that doesn't chew up the memory in quite the way, or just invest in lots. These days, hard to get 128 gigabytes when you need it. Anyway, OpenAI, ChatGPT. So all these are chat, and then these are agents. So you can chat with these guys, with your regular models, or you can use agents, or you can use MCPs. So if I open up Ghosty, over here, and you can see I've been looking at the prices of models on somewhere, probably new portal. Anyway, if I just say Hermes, I think it should bring up a dialog that says, Xcode is connecting, because as soon as it runs, it goes for all the running MCP servers. And if Xcode can't be found, it just outputs a message that says, I can't find this MCP server. So right now I'm starting it. I don't know why it's so slow. Start, but Hermes is starting slowly. The way it is. Hello. My shell environment has been all over the place lately because I've been screwing with my ZSH and Z profile files and all that stuff. What are you doing, Hermes? Come on. Are you initializing? Or, it may just be that it's very busy. I do have other things running. Like these tasks right now are in progress. So I don't know if that has a big effect on other instances of Hermes. Also, I have Hermes running as the dashboard, which I guess just runs another process. And of course, you can chat with it if you want to. Somewhere in here, there's a way to chat with it. Sessions. Yeah, I can run into sessions. Maybe there's no chat in here. That's fine if there isn't. I would be happy if there wasn't, because I kind of don't like having a chat. I don't know about you all, but Scarf is cool. Like, I can connect to local. I can connect to any of the ones on my other laptops. Sharky, Prolapse, and Apropos. Don't ask me about the names. I don't know what they mean, but basically, if you go to Sharky, not quite open. Hold on. We open Sharky. You can see it's another instance of Hermes running over there, and it connects to it over SSH. And that's another laptop. I could also just connect to it over Telegram, but I don't get this lovely dashboard that way. Another thing I did, I should show you this other thing. This is another cool thing about Scarf. If you're into Hermes and you're looking for a cool dashboard that does something interesting, I don't know why this is acting up. Remote command exited 255. Do I have to log in to make it work? What's going on? I don't think I do. Oh, well, maybe I do. Can't read Hermes state on Sharky. Refresh. Try again. Come on. Set it up and it was nicely working before. I have my SSH keys on there, so maybe that's what it's getting stuck on. H into it. Local. You got those. Are we going to ask me to recognize the key? What's going on? Sharky.local? What's going on? I don't think I turned off the login. It should be very quick. Sometimes I don't know, lately I've been having every issue in the world with my network. I'm on Wi-Fi, but I'm also on Ethernet. Checking it out. Bunker, baby. Um, don't expect that to come up. The SSH isn't even coming up. And it's maybe that Sharky.local has got the wrong IP address associated with it because DNS needs a ping. Gotta refresh my DNS. See what I will do. Oh, I can't just disconnect the network and reconnect. That'll screw with my running job. All right, well, how important is this? No, not that. We'll come back to it. Come back to it in a minute after things are done. Also, I'm probably running into, we're getting into hit and swap with something. I don't know what's wrong. Swap, Facebook. I don't need that. I was just doing my administrative duties there and also showing off the Hermes stuff that I've been working on. System settings, you don't need you, but Hexcode is a little weird. This little blob here, this little field, it causes a spike in the GPU whenever it's in front. But as soon as I go back to like, activity monitor, it drops down a little bit. So Xcode has this weird extra load, and I think it is just this field because when I hide it, watch, it'll drop again. Oh, look. Yeah, you really need that GPU for that little glowing field. Good. Come on, guys. Save an electron. Uh, anyway, FretPet 1.4, old notes about data storage, FretPet, blah. So all this stuff can get ingested. Then the general idea is I have a new code base that will build in. But yeah, the MCP thing, I really wanted to demonstrate because that's pretty cool. But I'm just having all the issues because I just have running at the same time. So I should kill this Hermes. I don't know why I didn't try to connect to Xcode when it's MCP server, but just being like that today, maybe it just connected already. But I also have the ChatGPT and Xcode thing connected, so that might have something to do with it. I don't know if it gets in the way or something. I don't think it does. But the thing with ChatGPT and Xcode is it presents a floating window. So if you check it out, here it is again. Unknown user. Geez, everything is acting up. My network, I think it's just I'm having network issues. You may know about by now. Because what's going on? Yeah, look, I got Eric's in my chat room. Let's interact with my chat room. See if I can interact. Yeah. Do with it. Reply. I think I can edit like whatever. Never click these links, guys. You know that. Write down the domains you see and keep them in your bad list as you do. Because they're not doing themselves any favor. That's for sure. Oh my God, we don't need that. Thank you, Apple, for your window of management. I love palettes that flood the screen. They're so cool. Anyway, what's eating the GPU? I don't know. A lot of things. A lot of things are, but Xcode does have some bearing. We'll quit it for now. And anyway, let me at least show you Scarf. I think you should check this out. So it has its own view of the Kanban somewhere around here. Gotta get used to all these menus having a different order. Oh yeah, there we go. Kanban. So it still has my running task. So I don't know. It's been running for 26 minutes, which makes me think it's screwed up in some way. Yeah, it's still doing stuff. Output file. Notable members. I don't know. This looks like it's trying to write the file, but it does say it's running. So no. The other interface, the one web interface, is a little annoying. This one, a little annoying because you have to refresh you want to read like what's going on in the thread, you hit refresh, then you scroll down, and then you can read that API called failed connection error. Yeah, I think we're having connection errors. You may know this by now already here on Twitch, that there are connection errors. I'll just check my Twitch situation and see what's going on. I'm trying to do too many things at once on this computer. Let's see. Twitch. I'm on Twitch. So I need to have that more at hand. Twitch. Here you are. Just checking it on my tablet, and sure enough, it's not getting anywhere either. My guess is the stream is dead, so I'm gonna stop it. It should be telling me this stuff, but may stop it if it seems to be dead. Wait, I'm seeing stuff. It's all just being sluggish, really sluggish. So I do apologize if it's affecting your quality on your end. Usually the audio is still pretty good, and the video, at least, is mostly just static. Hopefully it's surviving and being well. But yeah, this happens after, this typically happens. I'll have these sessions that'll be like, they end, but then it just sits there in progress. So they're not catching the fact that they're not running. But what I'll typically do is check to see if the model, again, I'm getting that whole issue where I can't even connect. Well, I did get Hermes started. Trinity Large Thinking, and so I shall just see how quickly it loads. Oh gosh, still slow. See what's eating, maybe something's eating the CPU as well. OBS Studio, of course. It's eating two cores, man. Oh my god. Poor thing. I don't even know why. There's got to be a reason why. I could turn off my preview or something. That is crazy. All right, well, sorry, OBS. It's just what it is. What it is. Windows Server Z even taking up. Wow, I'm surprised. Z should not be taking up that much, honestly. I don't know what it's doing. But Z is another one again. So I was going to tell you the difference between them. Sidetrack. Because, as usual, the demo didn't work. It's just what happens. Let me put all these away, frankly. Usually I don't like to put my Z windows away, but bring out something like Marlin. Here we have stuff I'm working on in Z. I like Z because, again, like I said before, it's snappy, very snappy thing. And hold on a second. Really wish my Twitch was working. What's going on? Hello? Where's my stream manager? I'll go there. Oh, cool. It takes me right there. Mod view. It says offline, but I don't think. Let's go to channel. Is me, my channel? Again, it says what, offline? Who's online? Oh, there I am. See, it's working, sort of. I can tell. Okay, let's just carry on. I always worry about things not working well. If I shake my mouse, will you see it? Will we all see it? Okay. Anyway, it'll all come out in post. Main thing is I just wanted to get this dude off my screen. Chat. And here's the chat. I'll just see if it's working in this from this end. Welcome. Do I get something in my chat? Oh, it goes to a general chat, not that chat. Okay. Interesting. Videos live. Let's go there. Go to the live. Let's do it live. Here's some echoing. I'm going to have some coffee. Building it up. Building it up. Put on the AI music? No. Maybe I will. Yeah, a little weird. Put it in anyway because I need background sound. Okay, shite. Man, my network is crap today. I do not know what's going on. I cannot get any of my devices to connect to stuff. This is just crazy. And it's not because of inference, I'm sure. I'm not like, can't be burning through that many. Let's check Scarf, shall we? Those sessions, is it like a trillion tokens? No, it's 174,000. It went a half a million at one point. At half a million tokens, typically now, a half a million tokens will cost you $2 if it's on the input side, and it's the size of your, I guess basically, yeah, it's effectively that. Uncashed tokens go in at a cost of $3 per, or even $5 or more per million. Half of that, half a million. You're spending some money just to experiment. I don't have, I don't have it. I rely on donations and sponsorships, so I don't want to be throwing all that at my screwing around with things just to learn, although it is an important investment to learn. And I am spending a few. I did get 50, 70. I guess I've got right now, I think I spent about $70 on Open Router, and I've got about 50 left on it to spend. So, I will spend those tokens. I'll thank you for your donations that help me to purchase tokens, get some time with real models that can do things. I'm really trying to leverage what I have to get work done with what I have and can do for nearly, not necessarily free. I don't know. There's still your electric bill, right? So fortunately, I am using a Mac Ultra, and most of the time, the inference that I'm running is elsewhere. Um, I'm not doing as much local model stuff lately, although I'm definitely trying out again. Uh, Last one I had Win 3.6 35B A3D UD 4-bit, although I did get a 6-bit somewhere in the pile here to test. Oh, it's probably not done downloading yet. I have to finish downloading that, and then I will turn the KV cache on. Oh, there's one at the top here. So that's 26B A4B. I'd rather go for the 35B A3B, although it depends on your taste. The Quen models, again, those are the ones I'm kind of going for. Gemma model, uh, again, if I use Gemma again, I'll probably do the KV cache, see how it plays at 6 bits. Quen 3.6 27B 8-bit, forget about it. It was pushing the limits to do that, although it was conservative about in its memory usage, I gotta say. And it does run okay on an M1 Ultra. I'd say it probably runs way, way better on an M5. Uh, and I would also say if you can use OMLX, which I haven't installed yet. OMLX is supposed to be both more efficient and less use memory, faster, all that stuff. So maybe we'll look at that at some point. That'll be good for my local inference. Again, I find it really funny that we have inference as a utility now. Yeah, we have electricity. We got food. We got whatever gas. You got water, and you've got plumbing. Yeah, you got to pipe that stuff out of your house. You've got inference. And I don't know, it's all input, but maybe in some output. So it'll be interesting to see what this how this works out for us. I keep thinking of those places that live those like big houses next to breweries that have just a beer tap in the wall. Is that what this is now? Like, okay. Oh, exhausted. I'm sure I'm hammering Archie Trinity Large too much. Sorry, new research. I apologize. Let us put this let's put it back into the pile. I got to go and change my model. So this is the way I'm doing it. There's probably a better way. There ought to be. I mean, there's profiles and such. I'm just doing this. I'm just saying Hermes model. By the way, every second Hermes has another set of commits that you're behind. Won't update every second unless you're really into it. You don't have to. But they do improve it constantly. Enjoying. I'm definitely enjoying it. I don't have any illusion that it's perfect and that its skills are always um, ideal, or that the models that I'm using quite comprehend the skills that other models wrote. They all have their own style, so there's probably some conflict there. You just have to work with it. Okay, hate to do this, but I need to use a model that works properly. Also, if you notice, Hugging Face has inference providers. Did you know that? So if you have a Hugging Face token, you can use that. You just have to set up an API key. I am not using it. But yeah, that's one of your options. You like some of the models on Hugging Face are awesome, but you'll also find those through LM Studio. But you really want to find, again, if you're trying to get your faster inference, you can't host it locally. You'll get pretty good performance, but never what you'll get by using a service. So again, Quen OAuth. Again, I don't have that. I'm going to abuse my GitHub Copilot a little bit again. But I want a model that can do stuff well. The Opus 4.61 million context is pretty cool. Again, I tend to fall back to Sonnet, although GPT 5.4 is on offer. It's interesting, I find it weird that they list all these models, but I can't use them all. This kind of stuff. Grok Fast 1 was working pretty well in the Copilot for Xcode. That was what I was using to do some evaluation of stuff, and it handled it all right. I think I would generally, again, I really wanted reliability and good instruction following and clarity and preciseness. I've really had my best luck with Sonnet, and also you can say low reasoning that much for the process. So now that I've done that, if I put this into ready and nudge the dispatcher, I could just nudge it. I think it'll restart the task again. It'll try to, I think. And we'll see what we got. Is it going to redo it? It's reclaimed. Data's changed to ready. What happens now? Again, I wish the refresh would just keep the window where it is, but you can see it is starting to do stuff, I believe. So it'll say unknown tool sets sometimes, Hermes. This is a message you will get from some models. In this case, I am using, which is weird. I don't know why it cares. I think previously Claude did not complain, but I may be missing that this. I think this is supposed to be using the default model and Claude right now. It says default. This is how it's working. I got profiles. Right now I have a default profile. It's using Claude Sonnet 4.6 through Copilot. You can see it's in my home folder. And yeah. Then you have, I was trying high through preview free. Some others, again, a lot of these are local. I would change this to the UD one at this point. And how this manages my profiles is a little weird. I think you definitely use some help in the UI department for the way that you would deal with these. Like sometimes you can edit things, but you can only edit the name. It's like, I know I wanted to edit other things here, like maybe the model, maybe the skills, the other stuff. Where's that? You have to go, elsewhere to find that stuff. So yeah, it's getting there, but it definitely feels a little rough around the edges. It feels a little incomplete. But this Kanban thing I think is great in concept, if not in execution. It's fine. So yeah, we've got another. Looks like it restarted Hermes again for us. I'm not sure what's happening there. Stream, blah blah blah. Being very peculiar. So again, I may be getting smacked by GitHub for using Copilot for such stuff. But let's see, that was a 42-minute ago. Wait, need to do anything else to nudge it into restarting? I think I should have. I think what I'm seeing is a restart here. We did read it as such. Going. Refresh again. So yeah, this is kind of what I'm hating about the interface. You have to refresh. Yeah, refresh. Yeah, okay, fine. Refresh again. So again, it's only. Oh wait, there we go. Work Kanban task. There we go. Picking it up. Okay, so it is picking it up. It just takes a minute to refresh it. I don't know what makes it slow. Probably whatever is making everything slow in my right now. OBS. Let's say it's OBS. Thank you, OBS. So fine. Now maybe I can get a response from Xcode on that thing. But after that, I'll give you more of a survey of what I worked on or from the start of working with Hermes over the last couple weeks, and we'll just get a quick survey of that. This is kind of the latest, most interesting part that I've been doing. Again, how many Hermes do I have running now? I have a dashboard running. I do not have an instance of Hermes except for the worker over here running. Previously, again, when I went this, like, and ran it, well, we can open it up actually. Open chat. So this is the thing that pops up and you can use in Xcode. So you basically just kind of like get your Xcode out usual way, and it seems to follow it around, which is very funny. So you have this, and it follows Xcode around. Resize your window, whatever. Then you use this Copilot. I'm going to move it over to the other side. It'll allow me to. Oops, there's a shortcut for this kind of thing. Hold on. Yeah, there you go. But we're going to put it on this side. Hopefully that'll make it. What happens if I resize the window? Will it follow me? Yes, it does. Okay. Moving and resizing, it's doing all the things. So now you have this Copilot thing. So you can go to whatever, already on Copilot. So maybe one issue is, again, whatever my issue is with the network, it's also preventing me from sign in now. I don't know, man. I don't want to reboot. This is just weirdness. So in near future, what I'll tend to do is probably use OBS on a different computer, run it, and figure out ways of getting everything screen sharing nicely over that. Although, again, more work. But whatever, it's probably less taxing than having OBS running. Here's the list. Boom. This will all come out in the edit. But yeah, we have 3 models like on Open Router. Looking at, as of May 2nd, I was looking at some of these, and basically you have cheap models, right, where you have some things maybe run at home, but also things that you might have seen. Well, generally speaking, these are still models, not necessarily you can run at home. Some of them may be, 1, 3, 6, but these are the non-quantized versions. And then you've got these affordable ones, which, are a little more on the output, a little more on the input. I put them at 40 cents or more, I guess. But yeah, you get things like Gemini 3 Flash Preview. And then again, because of the caching, you get this 5 cents. So this is a really great value. Some of these other flashes are really good. This is not by any means an exhaustive list. It's just a sampling of models that I find interesting or maybe useful or recognizable. You got your Mimo, and some of them I just picked out because they show up at the top of the cheap list. Then you've got your Claude Haiku, actually a very, if you don't mind whatever the quality of haiku is, you get, a very good cost on the caching, 10 cents. Gemini 3 half the cost on it on both. So you could say that Gemini 3, if it can do just as well as haiku at everything, great, go for it. Because again, how do you measure these things? These are all things that need to be kind of charted out. And there are charts of these things. So we have, for example, I picked out you. You got your pricing calculator, first of all. You do your pricing calculator, and I will reload, so it's update. So today, Gemini 2.5, 2.5 flashlight cheapest goes up again 0.675, and depending on what kind of usage you're seeing, like I'm getting what I'm getting 450,000 tokens on output sometimes. Yeah, or at least in a session. So let's say divide that by 20, so about 20,000, we'll say. But yeah, I'm getting some pretty big outputs. And I'm also getting some, again, the inputs per request are, you know, let's say it's small, a couple thousand, maybe at most 7K. Then you got the cached input, and it's going to be on the order of, like, depending on how long these things go, it's going to go up or down. So you can see at that point, Llama 4 Scout suddenly takes the top ranking, saving you nearly $772. So yeah, you can see this is a situation which is like, yeah, depending on your usage patterns, you're going to get a different result. One thing is going to be cheaper or the other. Somewhere it breaks even, right around, say, call it. Come on now. Right around there? Okay, we'll call it there. So let's say it's about 7,200 in and out with a 59% cash ratio, whatever your costs end up being about the same. Caching actually seems to make less of a difference for these particular models because of the caching is maybe not as much of a difference between the two, but it does make a difference. It goes from it's caching less, 318, down to as little as 280. So yeah, you're saving some bucks with caching. As far as requests per month, geez, well, I'm in this strange place where I don't know. It depends on all kinds of things. So again, you're looking at, let's say I'm trying to keep it down to 50. The one thing you can try to do is like figure out what the numbers are that work for 50 for your pattern, and be like, well, if I do 50, I can get about 15,000 requests per month for my $50 budget per month. Now, that's kind of crazy to even, I don't know why I fixate on numbers like 50 because I'm broke. I'm not able to afford like hiring help. But when you think about, what it costs to hire a person, that's an hour work if you're lucky. You get a good hour, $50. So, and that's on the cheap side for the kind of like knowledge work we do. So yeah, if you can imagine getting, lots of a whole month's worth of work for $50, that's useful to you, spend your $50, I guess. So yeah, fascinating thing. I would totally check this one out. LLM pricing, choppytoast.com. Then you have the Autobench leaderboard on Autobench. And Autobench is a little more concerned with like, how effective models are as much as they are, cheap. So if a model does well, it gets a higher ranking. So you get overall rankings. Right now, Opus 4.7 is showing, Gemini 3.0 Pro Preview showing, and Opus 4.6. But Sonnet is holding its own, which is really nice. Sonnet 4.6, even after all this time, is doing really great. It's still far behind these others, in terms of P99, in terms of average answer duration. It's not, it is half, you could say it's half the model that these others are. And that's where the level is. It's like you've got these three at the top: Pro Preview, Opus 6, Opus 7. They're the top dogs. And right below them, everything drops off, like plummets in terms of their value and how good they are. But also the cost. Again, you can see the average cost dollars. Here is like sort ascending, sort descending. We'll go with descending. So, or you can see GPT 541X high, pretty costly, sort ascending. GPT OSS 20B, cheap, so, again, but the ranking is what we care about. And you want descending ranking, please. And I guess you get, oh wait, clear the sort. Descending, there we go. Claude Opus 4.7, Claude Opus 4.6. And Sonnet's still holding its own, but then, again, it falls off rapidly. And what that means is you get lesser quality. And lesser quality is hard to pinpoint, but sometimes it means typos and hallucinations. So the fewer of those, the better. And that's why we pay a little premium, again, for these models. But, to the extent that you can get work done with Mimo V2 Pro, you'll be surprised with Himi K25, with Minimax, with, and again, Grok is here in the, among the pack as well. So it's not, there are contenders. Haiku is still holding its own. It's still in the top, whatever here is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like top 13, something like that. Top 12. So it's the 12th, and it's holding its own pretty well with the P99. It's like right up there with Sonnet. Whatever this means, duration. Okay, lower number is better. So anyway, it's way up there with Sonnet. Sorry. But these, again, faster is not necessarily better unless you're a Frontier model, in which case faster doesn't necessarily mean lower quality. You'll see that Opus 4.6, again, takes twice as much as 4.7. So we like these for various reasons. Time matters, token usage matters, quality matters. Then you have your benchmark comparisons. You can auto bench. You have different choices. Terminal bench, sort, descending. So GPT 5.4 high. Terminal bench, Claude Sonnet still holding it its own. Again, great value. I'd say Sonnet right now might be the best value, especially if you can get some free usage of Sonnet. Then you've got GDP eval. I don't know what that evaluation is, but again, Sonnet is up there on that eval as well. Performance plots, you get your performance plots. So here's your, again, cost and value. You want something that is, this is the quadrant up here. This is the part you want. The top left is the area that everyone is aiming for. If you can get there, you are a winner. But yeah, I think I have to zoom back out here. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty cool. You've seen these plots before, but yeah, the models that are heading and getting towards that area most closely are Kimi K25 Minimax, GLM 4.7, Quen 3.6 Plus, and all these guys along this fringe here are aiming to go up in that direction, and all these guys aim to go left. And over here you have, down the bottom right is the worst stuff, where it costs the most and gives you the worst results. So Nova 2 Lite, unfortunately, might be great for some things. It just doesn't rank high on benches, but it's high enough to show up in the plot. So, make of that what you will. These are all contenders. But this is a good example of one that is reaching to the bottom. And over here we have these guys reaching for the top. And generally speaking, this is where things get interesting, is like, look at the straight line that goes up here. And this is kind of a no man's land up here. And, it all comes down to also speed. So here you have your latency. Latency being, I believe, on first inference of a typical thing. What does it say? Rank, cost. So latency, log scale. So it's a logarithmic scale, which means, again, things are doubled, past each of these lines, things get doubly worse or whatever. So yeah, here's 100, here's 10. So we're going down from a 10 scale to a 100 scale. So they're progressively worse. You can imagine this being a squished graph, effectively. And yeah, Mistral small. So where's the good area on this graph? You want lower latency, way down here. You want up here, you want the rank to be high. So Opus, killing it, killing it. Gemini Flash actually doing really well. They say the best value going right now. Free Flash preview might be the best value going. One of the best values going. 3.1 Pro preview. But again, yeah, like look at that latency on like Mistral. The Mistral models are actually I found them pretty impressive with doing some weird things, like playing Zork without any without taking notes, so like not following instructions, but at least trying to play the game with just its context. I was surprised how well it did. Then GPT OSS, and maybe they were trained on that. I don't know. Or Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, probably more likely. I kid, guys. GPT OSS 120B, I still find it to be good value. Um, can it do the tool calling and instruction following reliably? My value. I think the models I've had the trickiest time with that are not those in particular. None of these in here are particularly bad at doing these things. So anyway, next rank versus P99 at latency. Okay, someone will tell me exactly what that means, but it has to do with the P99 testing of some kind. Uh, but anyway, again, the good areas to the left and to the top. So all the usual ones are showing. The Minimax again, really showing well. I might have to go for that, use that more. And the Gemini 3 Flash preview, if they're good values, then use them. These are the models. But again, use these. Choose a benchmark to run. You can pick one and try it, and see. Or you choose one to view. I guess you can't run your own, but you can look at ones that were run. We're now looking at the agentic run from April. You can go back in time, and it almost feels like going back a month is just pointless. Like who cares? A month ago is a month ago. There's no more anything. Meanwhile, of course, Router has its own pretty ranking charts, and theirs are based on usage. So they're seeing i3 preview get crazy usage. They're seeing DeepSeek 4 Flash get, the next big contender is like at half. So again, i3 preview, because it's free and it's kind of their default lately for free, has been hitting it a lot. It's like it shows up in the short list, basically. They have a short list and they have a long list. And if you want to use models on the long list, you have to type them in yourself or copy paste them. If you want to use items on the long list, the short list, uh, they're there. And, Open Writer's always looking for sponsors. So again, Sonnet is getting